What do you think of when you hear the word connected car or telematics? Well, it's technology that just may change the way your shop does business. And that's the topic for this in the workshop. Special guest today is Chris Slazak. He's the Director of Telematics for Delphi, and he's here to explain to us just what is this noise about the word telematics. What is it going to mean to techs, shop owners, and other segments of the aftermarket? Chris, thanks so much for taking the time to come out with us today.
Hey Pete, thank you very much for having us here, and appreciate this time on Motor Age. But yes, I'd like to talk about telematics and what exactly it is, where the industry is headed, and at the end, really talk about what this technology and this industry trend means to the independent aftermarket service industry.
Sure, it sounds great. Well, the floor is yours.
Well, Pete, if you can go to slide 2.
Sure, there we go.
And telematics, a lot of people call it different things, whether it's vehicle-to-vehicle communication, vehicle infrastructure, connected vehicles, but most people can relate to OnStar, they can relate to Ford Sync, and to a certain degree that is telematics, or let's say it's really about the connected vehicle. And if you can think about it in its most simplistic form is, how do you communicate back and forth to the vehicle and the person in the vehicle? And how do you use that information to be able to forward it to the independent aftermarket repair industry as it relates to the vehicle maintenance and trouble codes and other things related to the vehicle health. So in front of you, there's a couple different industries that it's using the connected vehicle technology today. Of course, everyone's familiar with the OnStar, with the Lexus Link, and that's what you call your embedded technologies, and that's something that's really done at the factory level. There's other connected technologies like the Ford Sync, the Kia, etc., that really leverage Bluetooth cellular technologies to be able to send information back and forth to the vehicle. And again, I think everyone's familiar with the Apple App Store, but nowadays, one can definitely predict in the future where you go to a Ford or a GM or a Mercedes or Honda App Store to buy and use inside your connected technology is here to stay, and it's only going to grow bigger and bigger as the years go by. If you go to the next slide, slide 3. This technology is even being used in the areas of rental car sharing, specifically in roadside, whether it's your AAA or Allstate. I think a lot of people have seen the Progressive insurance ads that have Flo trying to sell this little black box. And again, all this is telematics and what we call connected vehicles. And again, this technology is growing more and more influential as years go by. If you go to the next slide.
Sure.
Driving connected with features matter. When you look at this telematics or connected technology, the interesting thing is the second largest feature that really matters to end consumers is all about the diagnostics. Okay, and if you think about it, that really hits on our industry, and that is, how do we diagnose and repair vehicles? Okay, and again, the OEMs have been doing this for years. And again, the OEMs have been leveraged this technology to understand more about the vehicle's maintenance and how the vehicle is driven, but also as a way to help the OEM dealerships to reach to the end consumer and drive the end consumer back to the OEM dealerships for maintenance and repair.
Now,
Could
you expand on that a little bit, Chris? I mean, I know, of course, there's OnStar, and I know that they can send out these vehicle health reports, emails to OnStar subscribers. Is that information also going to the selling dealer or the local dealer network, or?
Nope. Right now, the systems is designed where that information only goes to the OEM dealerships. So in a way, you've got the independent aftermarket repair industry kind of outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even been case studies that OnStar's even published where if you can get that information about the vehicle, about the maintenance coming up in real time, about trouble codes, and send that to a selected OEM dealerships, that dealership has a higher percent chance of getting that consumer to go back to his or her shop.
Mm-hmm.
So in an information technology age, the big difference between whether a service center gets the business or not, a lot of times is getting that information first before your competitors and allowing you to reach out to the consumer and pulling them back to your service center. And again, it's really about, information and how do you leverage it through the use of technology to maintain and grow your business.
Sure.
So if you go to slide 5.
There you go.
So a couple proof points here, and again, at the Apex show last year, which I think a lot of your listeners may have attended, but Polk is famous for this 5 trends in 5 minutes, and the 5th trend is really about telematics and seeing it increase in the industry, and it's one of those things where the independent aftermarket, are you going to wait and react after the fact, or are you going to understand and leverage the technology before someone starts to eat away from your business? Now, the interesting part, too, is trend number 4, which is all about, nowadays there's vehicles out there that used to come in every 3,000 miles, and to a certain degree, those days are long gone. Or now, if you buy a BMW, you can only potentially bring the vehicle in once every year. Okay, so the maintenance periods are being stretched. And so obviously one can see that as a big threat to the independent aftermarket industry. And again, how do you leverage technology to make sure that you get every single opportunity to pull that consumer to your service center?
Sure. And I mean, there's been some other recent statistics, where customer service scores are much higher now at dealerships than they used to be. A lot of the things that we used to almost count on to help drive business away from the dealers and to our independent shops is becoming less and less apparent to the consumer. They buy the car there, they take now they're offering, of course, the free maintenance for a period of time that keeps them coming there. And then now with the telematics option that they have, or many of the manufacturers offer, is just another way that they're striving to keep the customer in their dealer bays. So yeah, I mean, it seems like if there's a way to expand this to where aftermarket shops could to take advantage of that same technology to increase their competitiveness, that sounds like something that would be a good idea.
Absolutely. So Pete, you hit it right on the head there, and that's absolutely what we're discussing with some pretty big companies in the independent aftermarket repair industry today. And to kind of verify your comments, Pete, I mean, there was an article in USA Today last year where it basically said, look, more drivers are taking, cars to dealerships to get work done, and if you read the fine print and they're liking it. And so you're absolutely right, Pete, is, in the past there's been a clear advantage to the independent aftermarket service industry on why consumers prefer to go to them versus dealerships. But to your point, with the closure of dealerships, I think now there's a known fact that, some dealerships, in order to remain competitive, are starting to repair, all makes and all models.
Yeah.
And I
sure.
think it's, not a hidden secret, but a lot of dealerships, make more money in their maintenance than in repair, bays than they do on selling cars.
Yeah, it's a big section. It's a big hunk of their business.
Absolutely. So if we move to the next slide.
Sure. Here we go.
So again, Delphi's uniquely positioned in the fact that, a good chunk of our business is really focusing on the independent aftermarket, installer, jobber, WD, to sell them, OEM parts. But also, we've been in telematics for 13, 14 years. We've been kind of one of the earliest pioneers in the first launch of telematics into the mainstream. So really, this initiative was discussed about, how can we take this OEM technology and how can we package it into a solution that our aftermarket service center can support and understand and easily use, right? So in front of you, we've got a telematics solution which really starts with a device that literally fits in the palm of your hand. Okay, so you can think of this telematics solution or connected vehicle solution as a scan tool reader, a cellular device, a GPS, and a mini computer, all packaged into a small black box.
Wow.
Okay. So again, once you plug this on any 1996 or newer vehicle, it automatically works. Okay. So imagine scenarios where the service center can get real-time maintenance alerts or real-time diagnostic trouble codes. In some cases, at the same time that an end consumer sees it, in literally seconds or minutes after. So again, trying to give the end consumer another option, to give them that peace of mind, but also give that installer, that shop owner, that technician, the tools that they can compete on a level playing field, but also the ability to reach out to the consumer and say, hey, Mrs. Jones, your diagnostic trouble light just came off. You probably just saw it a few minutes ago. By the code and the descriptions, hey, did you just get your gas filled? And if so, it's probably just a loose gas cap. Or, hey, it's something else, and we highly recommend that you pull off on the side of the road because either it's a safety issue or B, if you keep on driving, instead of being a couple $100 repair, it could be, a few $1,000 repair. And again, think of, what that means to the end consumer from a peace of mind. Think of that, what it gives to the shop owner or the technician, an extra tool that they can use to reach out to the consumer. And again, be just like how primary physicians or doctors are to the patients, the same thing is let the shop, let the technician, that card doctor, the end consumer. Going to the next page.
There you go.
So what we're trying to do with this solution is really change a mindset, or a perspective. If you think about it, most people make a decision on where to get their vehicle repair kind of after something's wrong, right?
Yes.
And if you're, Joe's repair center down the street and the consumer goes to your competitor across the street, you've already lost the opportunity. Now also thinking from a parts perspective, if that consumer goes to a service center that doesn't buy your parts, you've already lost that opportunity, right?
Sure.
So from the installer, technician, shop owner, to the parts store, to the WD, again, we are somewhat reactive. The consumer decides where to go. Very little does a consumer says, okay, I want to go to this store because they carry this specific part by this specific company, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what if we change that from the point of sale? Again, the consumer is deciding after something happens, or hey, I've seen this maintenance check or this mileage alert, happen 3 different times. Now I've got to figure out where to take it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So imagine from point of sale to the point of need. And what I mean by that is, what if you're able to communicate to the car owner in advance, before maintenance due, in real time when a trouble code gets popped up, so you can communicate or have a chance to reach out to the consumer and help them, before they schedule something which may be too late. So, for example, from a shop perspective, if a car breaks down because their battery is dead in a Walmart parking lot, there's probably a good chance they're going to buy the battery from Walmart, right?
Sure.
Versus, what if we gave you, in this little black box, the ability to predict before the battery completely dies that, hey, this battery is showing signs of degradation, or your charging system is showing signs of degradation. Consumer, we highly recommend you go to your service center in order to get this checked before you're broken down the side of the road.
So let me see if I'm not always the sharpest pencil in the box, so let me see if I got my head wrapped around this. So we're going to be able to, in the aftermarket, install a device that's somewhat similar to the connected car technology that a lot of the OEMs are already using for their own benefit. Now, when this device is plugged in, it's actually monitoring the same PIDs that we would with our scan tool, but on a continuous basis, right?
Correct.
And if it sees something outside of parameters that are preset, I guess, it's going to trigger a notification to whoever's serving this device.
Correct.
Whether that's directly to the end user, the consumer, through a software application he keeps on his laptop or his phone, or to a hosting service center, independent shop.
Absolutely, yep.
Okay, now are these? And this may be jumping ahead of the gun. If it is, just tell me so. Is this technology ready for use now? Is there a server that is providing this link between the independent shop and the consumer?
The answer is yes. Right now, we've been in full-blown production with a couple big-name customers. Specifically, we are beta testing with some pretty big companies in the independent aftermarket repair industry, and in our projections are that this technology, this solution, will mainstream or launch, by the end of this year, if not sooner.
Awesome. And so once this becomes launched, now is the system set up so that let's just say that I'm a consumer and I have the device in my car from whatever avenue that it became available from. Now, am I going to, if I have a problem, am I going to get like a list of participating shops in the area that I could go to, or will this be strictly through one provider, or are those kind of things still needing to be ironed out?
Those things are still needing to be ironed out. There's a couple different business models that we're looking at. I think most companies in our industry understand that this is a customer relationship tool and a tool that allows the shop to increase the relationship with the end consumer and pull that business back, and obviously throughout the channel too. So we're looking at some scenarios where this potentially has the offer to be leased through a banner program, which in that case, the end consumer would have to select a shop in that banner program, or typically a shop offer this to their end consumers. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking at in the near term. We are looking at other options that say, the end consumer will buy the solution, and obviously if they pay 100% of it, then he or she should have the ability to go wherever they want as far as the independent aftermarket industry. So
Sure.
part of it depends on how much of the cost the end consumer will pay, And obviously, if the end consumer pays 100%, it's one scenario. If a end consumer pays, a less in the cost, then that's different. And a good analogy is the cell phone industry, right?
Sure.
You can buy an iPhone for $800 and you can go anywhere you want and change it any time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or, hey, I will sell this to you for a fraction of that cost. You can sign a 2-year agreement with me. So that is a model that, seems to be working, at least in that industry. And it's definitely something that we're looking at, too, as an option.
Sure. Well, I mean, but the long end of it is, this is technology that just provides, number one, another competitive advantage for you if you're an independent shop owner. It certainly provides peace of mind to many of the consumers because, we work hard to earn the trust of those customers. Once we have them, we don't want to lose them over a $5 difference in cost or something. But if we have a way that we can literally, as you said, be there at the point of need, even if it's virtually, that could give us that leg up that keeps those customers loyal to our shop. So anyway, I think we got a little ahead. I'll go ahead and give it back to you. Go ahead.
You're absolutely, again, you hit it right on the bullseye, Pete. The other thing that we've done, and we've done actually, interviews with a number of different shop owners, but one of the things that also was brought to our attention is, for any given shop, potentially 10 to 40% of their business is B2B, or, business to business, right?
Mm-hmm.
And telematics or this technology as applies to consumers' fleet vehicles is a no-brainer.
Oh, yes. Yes.
The ROI has been well known for years and years and so forth. So if you're a shop and part of your business is supporting the local landscaping company or the local cable company or whatever it is, this is another tool that you can use to help drive and solidify those type of business opportunities.
Oh yeah, and not only are you going to be able to monitor the maintenance for those fleets, and I'm sure you'll cover this in a moment, but the fact that you're getting this data, it's not just diagnostic data, it's driving data.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
You're going to know where those fleet customers will know, where their vehicles have been, how they're being driven. Did that guy, take it out at 2 a.m. and to hit the strip club with? Who knows? But you'll have that ability to offer that, as a point for your fleet business. So absolutely, I can see the benefit for that. And as you also mentioned, these fleet guys, they can't afford downtime. They don't need that truck sitting idle for a day if they can avoid it. Not just like you mentioned the landscaping companies, but think of some of these bigger fleets. Taxi companies, shuttle buses. There's a whole lot of things that I could see where this would apply for a local independent. But okay, like I said, I'm getting you off tangent here. I'll shut up and let you go back to what you were telling me.
No, Pete. You actually nicely said what I was thinking. So you spot on, and that's actually what the industry is telling us too. In so much words, but you're absolutely right. If you go to the next slide.
Sure, that's.
And again, how it's going to be distributed, from a shop level. And again, a lot of it depends on the different banner programs, but we've got options where, just like how a shop buys a part today, this solution can follow through that fulfillment and distribution channel. We're also looking at ways where potentially it can be shipped directly from the warehouse to the shop. So we're looking at a couple different options. Again, a lot of it really depends on what our customers want. From a distribution model, but again, it's again, the difference between our solution and others out there is our focus is all around the independent aftermarket repair industry. Our focus is about providing a technology and tool that the shop owner sees as a benefit. Okay. Now, obviously, in a telematics or connected technology solution, you also have to provide features that the end consumer sees of value to.
Sure.
So whether it's vehicle safety or health, whether it's battery prediction, We're working on some pretty cool technology that says, hey, if you accidentally leave your headlights on or something charged into the sticker headlighter, instead of waking up in the morning and find that your vehicle, the battery is dead, you might get a text alert at night saying, hey, something's wrong, go to your vehicle and check it out.
Sure. Well, I can see that you could offer the same, level of interaction that any of the OEM systems could. Now, of course, let me just ask this here quick while we're on this photo. I know this device, of course, is plugging into the diagnostic link connector. So like with most newer cars, that's just going to be another module on the bus network, right?
Correct.
Now, will this have any impact on the normal function of the bus or the modules that are on the bus?
No. Obviously, anything that Delphi does, we've always got safety as job one. So the way that we communicate it, again, we're doing it in a very safe and an efficient manner, and by no means are we tampering in any way with regard to the drivability or safety of the vehicle. Also, if a person subscribes to, let's say, OnStar, and they plug in one of these devices, you could potentially have both systems turn on.
Uh-huh.
And if you want to, if you feel confident about that, one button push for the OnStar, nothing will change. But hey, if you want to use this because it has some cool features and then, maybe the price point is pretty darn attractive and allows you to communicate to your service center of choice, that's a scenario where you could have a couple, two systems in place. But no, by no means will this affect the vehicle safety or drivability.
Yeah, and I think you just mentioned a point that Charlie Gorman mentioned in his vision talk on telematics, and we talked a little bit about this before we started taping the show. That the technology, the benefits of the technology, is really not the question. It's that combination of who's doing what and paying for what, that is going to have to be ironed out, if you will. To find that sweet spot.
You're absolutely right. So the biggest challenge that faced us, was, to your point, the business model, right, is how much value will the end consumer be willing to pay? And again, to me, it's a pretty simple equation of, what is the price versus the benefits, right?
Sure.
And I think, if you take the price out, everyone understands, wow, I see the benefits of technology to the end consumers that shop. I get it. I like it. I want to do it. But the next thing is, again, how much is the end consumer or how much is the shop willing to sponsor the solution?
Right. And again, let's keep stressing here that yes, we're talking about the shop side, the diagnostics and the maintenance reminders and the interaction with your customer. But from the consumer standpoint, I mean, I raised two boys. And when I cut them loose in the car, as the parent, you're like worried if they're not home on time or you haven't heard from them or whatever. This seems like the data that this device can provide would be great for parents, right? I'm sure there's all kinds of things that you'll share with us, in a bit on how that helps parents with their teenage drivers. We already talked about the fleet side. What the fleet managers would gain from. Not just the diagnostic side of it, but the entire information package that it could provide, the real-time tracking, just so much available. Again, we find that sweet spot. We find out, what that best combination is. I think this is technology that's really going to take off.
No, absolutely. And then what you just mentioned was a feature, what we call as family safety. And again, this gives you the ability to say, okay, why is my vehicle being driven between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m.? Or, hey, I live 3 hours away from downtown Detroit. Why is my vehicle, cross the borders of Detroit, right? Or, I've had some feedback that says, I put a geofence around the school in my home because I work a lot. And I get a little message that says, hey, my daughter got to school on time safely, and my daughter got home on time safely. And you know what? It's a simple email, but you know what? From a peace of mind standpoint, that means a lot to me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But no, you're absolutely right. It's finding the suite of services, and then also trying to say, how much cost or pricing again is spread out through the systems. I mean, for example, Pete, we've had shop owners tell us, "Hey, for my loyal customers, I'm going to give them everything for free, assuming that they come to me three times a year." Okay. I've got some shop owners that say, right now I give three, when I sell 3 tires, I give them or 4 tires, I give them $100 gift certificate, right? Well, why could I give them potentially a Telematics device too?
Sure.
Or I've got these vehicles to my local cable company, but the fleet management company is basically taking 5-6% off the top line in revenue that they want paid back to them. So hey, this allows me to offer my customer a solution, and where no one else is taking some revenue from me. So again, the interesting thing that always amazes me is when you talk about this technology to shop owners, they are the entrepreneurs, and they come up with some great ideas on how to take this to market. And those different creative options, again, they just keep on surprising me on what they come up with. Pete, anything else before we go to the next slide?
No, I think that's got it. Let me go ahead and bump you up one. Okay. There we go.
So slide again, it's really about how do you communicate to the consumer, how do you communicate to the shop. So again, I think all of us can relate to, you get a trouble code, kicked off your vehicle, and if I'm, typical of most people, I don't know if this is a big issue or not. I mean, for example, on my 2010 Taurus, I've got this a trouble code that just seems to go on and off and at mysterious times, and I never know if I'm going to be stuck on the side of the road one day, right? Sure. So imagine you get this message on your cell phone that says, "Hey, a trouble code came off. This is what it means," and you either can keep driving because it's a minor issue and let's get this done in the next month, or hey, you really need to get this in because it potentially could be a bigger issue.
Sure. And I think that's like you just pointed out. I mean, it's amazing. The check engine light on my Toyota came on the way to the airport the other day, and my wife is like, "Oh well, are we going to make it to the airport? I'm going to be able to get back home?" Because she's a consumer, she doesn't realize that it could mean any one of 1,000+ different things.
Absolutely.
So what peace of mind would be if you're on a trip and your customer is but halfway between here and their destination, and the check engine light comes on and they don't know what it is, but certainly they're concerned, and then a few moments later you're able to send them a text, or they receive a text like your one here that you're showing as an example, that here's what's going on with your car. No worries, okay, you might lose a mile or 2 per gallon on your fuel economy for the rest of your trip, but bring it in when you get back, we'll take care of it. Or like you pointed out, if it's something more serious that needs immediate attention, then that shop could help them locate a reputable shop somewhere near where they are, and that would just again further their relationship with that consumer.
Absolutely. And from your audience, please understand that this technology will never ever replace the technician, the installer, the shop look, right?
Yeah.
And there's other solutions out there that, hey, you plug this in, we'll automatically diagnose what's wrong and go buy the part, right? I mean, I think anyone that really understands the repair industry, I mean, that just, they're not claiming what's realistic, right?
Yeah. No, I think our guys know, and we both know who we're talking about.
Yeah.
You drive in, you plug in they plug in the tool, sell you, okay, this says O2 sensor, so we're going to sell you that. Yeah. That's our guys know. This is just a direction.
Yeah, and Pete, my comparison is, think of telematics like a blood test, okay? And when you get a blood test, it goes through a number of different parameters. Okay, your white count is okay, your triglycerides are a little high, your cholesterol is a little high. But at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily say that something is or isn't wrong. It just says, hey, there's some information, there's some things that are out of tune, but go to your doctor or go to your car care advocate or your car care physician and let them diagnose the solution.
Sure.
And so that's kind of, again, we are a technology enabler to pull the consumer to the shop, for the shop to get information in real time and in advance to help them with their diagnostics, but also how do we improve the overall efficiency, at the shop level.
Sure.
Okay. And again, we've had, examples where a shop owner says, okay, so with this technology, I can only bin it in a certain bucket, and that will allow me to, make sure that the right technicians the next day. We've had, other shop owners that say, we offer a free scan tool check. They come in, got to take a technician off their job, we do some momentum, they go out to the vehicle, they have to check it. And then at the end of the day, maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, but it's all downtime, right? Because right now we got to do it and we don't charge. But it says, so you're telling me with this technology, I can get this seamlessly. Also with this technology, I can do some initial diagnostics and potentially even have the ability to clear the code. Wow, from an efficiency standpoint, I can see the opportunities, there alone.
Sure. And I guess, again, we should recap. Because of the diagnostic capabilities, as you mentioned, the scan tool technology built into the plug-in device, I would foresee that there's the bidirectional controls could be available. Like you mentioned, you could turn the check engine light off. You might even be able to open the doors or do a variety of other things depending on the level of enhanced capability available.
Absolutely. You hit it right on the head, Pete. Absolutely. So at the slide that is in front of you, again, which is helping to pull customers into the shop, slide 10. And again, so this would be an example where you could send out an email or a text to your end consumer, give them some high-level information, but also make it where it's so easy to have the end consumer request appointment or schedule appointment with the shop.
Wow, yeah.
And again, it's efficiency. I mean, we've had, from a demographic standpoint where, certain customers want the shop to call them back personal, right? We've had, other shops that say, hey, look, the younger generation, just send them a text or send an email and on a meeting time and they can respond to you, a few minutes later because they're in a meeting, right?
Right.
And again, this allows the shop to respond to their consumers or customers in the method that their consumers prefer.
Sure.
So again, if you go to slide 11, and again, the thing that's also made very clear, the shop level is, hey, don't give me a solution that requires me to do extra work, right?
Right.
So we're designing a solution that says, look, shop, the only time that you're going to be notified or that you need to look into the system is when you have potential opportunities come up, right? So whether it's diagnostic trouble codes come up, whether it's maintenance or whether it's, request appointments, again, is how do you design a solution, leverage technology that makes it easy for the shop to implement and support on an ongoing basis.
Sure.
Okay. So if you go to slide 12.
There you go.
Okay. And again, our kind of long-term vision is how do we leverage this technology to support remote diagnostics? How do you put your leverage roadside? And we've had some shops tell us, we provide roadside assistance and typically a customer might call and say, hey, my car is broken on the side of the road. And the next question is, well, where are you? And a lot of times they don't know. Or, hey, I've got a customer that drives from Michigan to Florida, and I want the ability to guide them if something happens to the shop that that I recommend, right?
Sure.
So again, it's trying to give the consumer an extra level of customer support. And again, streamline the process to, one day, could we potentially know that, hey, this code could be one of a couple different things, and oh, by the way, I just checked the local parts store, and they have all these parts on hand, or hey, your local parts store doesn't have anything in stock. Do you want to reach out to the next option, right?
Sure.
So again, it's really trying to provide, from a service and parts availability, better tools and options for that shop. Okay. So if you go to the next slide, Pete, slide 13.
There we go.
So again, imagine you're a consumer and you see a web page like this. And again, companies with this technology, we are allowing the car and the consumer to be part of the discussion as it comes to maintenance and repair.
Uh-huh.
And it's different and imagine a technician going to you, Pete, and saying, hey, you need a $400 repair X, right? Now, maybe you have 100% full trust in this shop, or maybe you don't, versus, hey, Pete, it's not me telling you. Your car is actually notifying you that you need this service, and it's coming from your vehicle telling you.
Sure.
Okay. And again, I think all of us are used to, on your laptops and your cell phones, different software versions, right?
Sure.
Or technology saying, okay, I'm going to self-diagnose myself, and customer, this is what's wrong, this is what you need to do to fix it.
Uh-huh.
And again, similar mindset, but again, leveraging the same technology for our industry. Okay? So if you go to the last page, and again, we are in the process of working with customers on a go-to-market strategy. From a Delphi perspective, you will see this sooner rather than later. And again, we have gotten some recognition from our industry peers, whether it's AAIA or whether it's Automechanica out there in Germany, with regard to a telematics solution that fits for the independent aftermarket industry.
Yeah, and I'm sure that I know with some of the standards, especially in Europe, I can see where this would really take off quickly. But yeah, wow, that's a lot of great information. Be sure to let us know, how things progress, and how's the distribution, process is going to work. I guess as a quick side note here, before we wrap things up, Chris, this is also tied into the total package. We just unveiled the scan tool at Apex. So there's a diagnostics support also offered by Delphi, not only the scan tool, but tech support, of course the parts, and the ability to look those up online. And I guess we should mention for those readers who don't know, which, if you don't, I'd be surprised, but of course Delphi is not just an aftermarket company, they're an OEM supplier for 20 plus different manufacturers around the world. So they have that knowledge of exactly how these on-car systems work, which gives them a legs up on being able to create an aftermarket device like this and have it work seamlessly in the vehicle's architecture.
No, absolutely, Pete. You're absolutely right. And again, here at Delphi, we're all about providing the independent aftermarket installer with the parts, information, and tools that he or she needs to compete against the OEM dealership and allow them, again, the ability to be successful. So Pete, look, we appreciate the opportunity talking with you and allowing us to participate with Motor Age, and we're pretty excited about this technology and this initiative, and we'd love to maybe give you an update in a couple of months, and again, we're really excited about this.
Yeah, Chris, again, I really appreciate you taking the time. Delphi has always been a real good partner with Motor Rage. We've done quite a bit together in the past to get the word out to shop owners and technicians about the resources available to them. We do thank you for that. And like I said, let us know, as this develops. Be sure to give me a ring. We can always update our readers. Chris, thanks so much for taking
Absolutely. And from the shop owner's perspective, look, if you're interested in this, I think the best way is to talk to your parts store, your WD that you're buying parts from. You actually may be one of the companies that we're in discussions with now. And what I would say is just talk to your stores and your distributors and tell them you're excited about this technology. And, that's probably the best way of trying to get something out to your specific shop sooner rather than later. Okay?
Yeah. Thanks again, Chris.
Okay, thank you, Pete. Take care.
Okay.
Okay, Pete.
Yeah, you still. Hey, thanks a lot, Chris. I got it all. It went a little more than